Hello there, and welcome back to the channel and to share in my pain. Big sci-fi fan, love all things sci-fi, and out there are just so many shows that they get so good and then get so cancelled. Looking at you, Firefly, as always. But Firefly is not the only example. If you clicked on this video, you already know who I'm going to talk about. That is Dark Matter. Dark Matter, I am ashamed to say that it took me a few years to actually get around to watching. This is mostly due to life getting in the way, work getting in the way, Star Trek getting in the way, just all the things in the way. But it was always on like that. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. I'm going to start watching that. I'm going to watch this series, and then I'm going to have. But now I'm just going to rewatch Battlestar. Then I'm going to watch it, and then it eventually became like, oh, I'm never getting around to watching this. But I eventually sat down and actually I binged watched all of Dark Matter, and what I discovered is it's goddamn awesome. Dark Matter, if you don't know, is a science fiction series set in the future, and it's basically a crew of people you shouldn't like. They're anti-heroes, which are always some of my favorite characters, and you really shouldn't do, and they're very clever about how they make you like them. So this video is going to be full of spoilers. I'm not even going to put a time stamp on the screen. There's just going to be spoilers, okay? So if you've not seen it, either don't care about spoilers and watch this, or go watch it. But Dark Matter was awesome. Basically, you had this crew. They wake up, they've no memory. They don't know who's who, they don't know who they are, who each other are. The ship's in a little bit of distress, and they name themselves based on, as the ship's computer's no help either, who woke up first in what order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because there are 5 of them. And that's simply how they get named. Incidentally, 5 is not the 5. 1 is not the one that ultimately runs the ship. That would be 2. 2 is also really awesome. Now, all of these characters are unlikable people, effectively. All of them have complicated, well fleshed out backstories, and the way they make you like characters you shouldn't like. Because basically, when you learn who these people are, for example, number 3, he's a mercenary. He's a killer. Literally, he murders people for money. He is not a good man. He is very, very evil in a lot of ways. 4 is a deposed prince from a small human empire out in deep space of a very oriental style culture. And he is also ruthless and vicious and may or may not actually be guilty of the very thing that he's accused of, which is murdering his own father. Personally, didn't think he did it, but you wouldn't put it past him when you do meet the original version of that character. Others, number 1, vicious mercenary, vicious killer, also genetically engineered, perfect killing machine. That's number 2, actually, not 1. Number 1, he's, again, a hired mercenary. He's an assassin, but his complicated backstory gets... I'm not going to completely spoil his story, because his story is quite interesting. He does eventually leave the series, which is quite interesting how they do it with him. 6 was actually an undercover cop who also had a bit of a dark past. 5 is the only one that you're sort of seeing through the lens. She's a young girl. She's 15, and to be fair, the actress does look very young. She was only in her 20s. Not unusual for that to happen, but she was kind of stowaway on board. They were actually going to kill her. That's what they were going to do before they all lost their memories. And that's why you're not supposed to like these people. When you meet them, when they get their memories back and stuff, you don't like them. They are horrible, horrible people. They have a mirror universe version, which, you know, I'm always a fan of. And they're even worse. And there's all kinds of just great story and character development in this show. In fact, it's one of the premier shows, I would say, for character development I've ever seen. Most other shows, they focus on the sci-fi and the spectacle. The great sci-fi series tend to do characters. Yes, it's got the sci-fi. Yes, it's got the spectacle. Yeah, you got a few energy weapons here and there. Most of it's relatively grounded, fairly familiar. It's somewhere between Battlestar Galactica, sort of really grounded, and the sort of Star Wars science fantasy level. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. Personally, I found it very similar to The Expanse, and quite similar to Killjoys as a concept. But again, they take these characters who you shouldn't like. These are bad people, and they make them the heroes because they lose their memories. And because they lose their memories, they actually become better people and they learn to be better. But they're constantly trying to outrun their past. And then you get the very reasonable moral question, which I will pose to you now. By losing their memories and becoming a new person, are they, the new person, responsible for the actions of the person that they were before? And this is a question the show often poses. You want them to win, you want them to get away with it, but then you learn it's like, yeah, but you killed all those people. You were horrible. You should be punished, but damn it, I like you. And it's really hard. You're rooting for them, and really, you're rooting for bad guys. And the show does this really well. There are 3 seasons of it in total. It was a 5-season plan, and thus far, there's nothing beyond season 3. And I will warn you, for the worst possible thing you could possibly ever do, they end on a cliffhanger. They end with this big alien invasion kind of thing happening, and the setup for the next few seasons of like an AI rebellion, because of the 6 human crew, of which there were, it turns into 7 sort of eventually when a character called Nyx comes in, who's also kind of awesome, but then she leaves. It's all a bit all over the place again. You've got your main core 5 who just stay, and there's literally 1 that leaves, and literally 1, and then Nyx comes. Anyway, they have such a good storyline arc for all of these characters, and they have such a good setup. The android character, they set up this concept of an android rebellion. Now, yes, that's sci-fi trope number 3 or something, but it works here. The android, the actress playing her, is able to play with that role, make this very stoic robot, but also every now and again, thanks to a little black market upgrade, is able to be more human and change how she looks. And it's just so amazing to watch, and it's such a good feeling of a show to actually just be watching in general, that I personally really enjoyed it. I was absolutely devastated. It's one thing to end it on 3 seasons when it was meant to be 5, but going out on 3 with a cliffhanger is maybe the worst decision they could have ever made. I would love for them to do a miniseries like they did with Farscape to sort of wrap it up. Whether that'll ever happen, don't know. Hashtag save dark matter, I guess. But it's a show that I am now missing, and I want to see the resolutions for, and I'm never going to get that. I'm quite sad about it, but it's a show that I feel should make a return. It should come back. It also, just as all the sci-fi connections, Joseph Malozzi and other people like that, who were the people responsible for creating another epic sci-fi series known as Stargate, something I've covered on this channel extensively. Stargate was phenomenal. You've got a great cast of people. You also have a lot of overlapping characters, and actors, should I say, who come from Stargate, most notably Tori Higginson and David Hewlett, both of whom played major roles in Stargate Atlantis, and David Hewlett also appeared in Stargate SG-1, although the character Dr. Elizabeth Weir, played by Tori Higginson, also appeared in that, and she did briefly. There's a lot of overlap. Basically, they bring a lot of their actors back, and there's this warm feeling you get as a sci-fi nerd going, that guy! And that woman! And oh my god, that's awesome. And it's made by those people as well, so you know it's well written, it's well developed, and these are people that are experienced, seasoned television makers who are not only experienced, but they're not like they're not experienced at making bad stuff, which a lot of shows are now. And they actually succeeded in making really, really good epic sci-fi, which lasted, and then they went and made this, which is also equally epic with great characters, but then died a death that it should never have died. So that is my little take on Dark Matter. I tried to keep the spoilers to a minimum, but I know it's full of them, so take with that as you will. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching all the way to the end if you made it. Bye bye.